Good afternoon. Sorry about that loud voice there, but I'd like to invite everyone here at Bounce Innovation Hub to either grab some food and then to also grab a seat. And hello to everyone who is visiting today online through Zoom. We're glad to have you. Today it's Tuesday, June the 28th. We have a lovely day, nice warm weather, low humidity, and it looks like the rest of the week is going to be pretty nice as well. But this is my last meeting as president of this club, and so rather than this today's meeting being the Steve Buie show, I've enlisted my dear friend and our brother Connor Jarvis is going to be taking the first part of the program and taking everything from bringing up the indicator all the way through to introducing me. So, Connor,
yep, absolutely.
It is yours, brother.
Thank you.
And let me hit this.
Yeah, hit the bell.
We are official.
We are official. Thank you, Steve, and it's my honor to do it, and thanks for putting up with me, everyone. So I'd like to keep things moving because I know we want to give Steve plenty of time. Julie, would you like to come up and do the invocation? Turn it. Oh, I didn't even see. Yep. Perfect. All right. I'm not as tall as Steve.
That's okay. We won't hold it against you.
Thank you, Julie.
Hello, everyone. I think we're all going through some struggles right now, and I think in this moment in history, I think we all need a little extra hug and love. And I wanted to give you a very positive message today. I often turn to Ralph Waldo Emerson for some words of wisdom, and so I'm going to pass those along to you today. This is my wish for you. Comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds and laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence when you have doubts, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, and love to complete your life. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Beautiful words, Julie. Thank you so much. All right, we'll jump right into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test: is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you again, Julie. Beautiful words, beautiful invocation. Do we have any guests with us here today? I know I see, of course, Mr. Bowie's family, and any other guests, though, as we go through the list. Who was our greeter? Dave, were you the greeter?
I am.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
Connor, get over here so people can see me. So yes, we have a few guests, all for Steve. So Steve's wife, Sherry's here, and Steve's son, Andrew, is here. Wave hello.
Welcome.
And Steve also has a guest,
Cottrell Chen.
Cottrell Chen. He's right here. Cottrell is right over here to the left. So welcome to you. Would you like to say something?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Please forgive me. I woke up this morning pretty deaf. I seem to have an ear infection of some kind, so bear with me if I can't hear you very well. I am absolutely delighted and honored to be here on behalf of my program, Hearts for Music. Steve, and I owe you and the Akron Rotary a great deal, Dad. Hearts for Music is a special needs orchestra, and we are the first of its kind in the world. And our goal is simply to love thy neighbor. And the parable of the wedding feast for Jesus, where Jesus says, to invite all the blind, the lame, the deaf to his wedding feast. And so every time we perform, it's wonderful to see that happen. And we have a bunch of public performances that are happening throughout the summer, and we keep growing every year, and it's in large plus thanks to you, to your lovely donations, your prayers and support that we've been able to grow from 5 little kids in an experimental situation in the basement of my church to reaching to over 30 families throughout Northeast Ohio. And the goal is to have a arts and music program planted in every part of the continental United States. So we recently had the wonderful joy of having Holy Trinity open up a home to us here in Akron so we can start serving those in Summit County. So we're really excited. So we have places in Solon, Hudson, Stowe, Aurora, Manaway, and now Summit County. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Cottrell. Pleasure to have you here.
And that is it.
That is it for guests. All right, thank you, Dave. How about any Rotary ambassador? Oh, by the way, online, are we missing any guests? I don't believe so. Okay. Any Rotary ambassadors? Linda?
Hang on.
We're coming. By the way, Cheryl dimmed the lights. My baldness was blinding everyone online, so.
No, it was my eyes. I was at the Cleveland Rotary Club last Thursday for the installation of their new president and their new board. So it was a beautiful event at Windows on the River up in Cleveland.
Thank you, Linda.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other Rotary ambassadors? All right, we'll keep things moving. Announcements jumping in now. I don't have an announcements list, but I can walk around with announcements. Stu Buchanan, you've got an announcement, Dave, if you can help me.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all those online and here. Don't forget, July 13th is the Polio Now baseball game with the Guardians. We'll have in the Terrace Club. The first pitch that night will be thrown out by the winner of the raffle that I'm selling tickets for. This year, winner will be doing it later, but anyhow, the winner from last year will be on the field pre-game throwing out the first pitch for Rotary, so that's pretty cool. And I have raffle tickets, $10, 3 for $20. You can sign up online by going to the district website, which is rotarydistrict6630.org. I'd love to have all of you come to the game. We always have a great time. I don't see many Akron members on the list, so you got 1 week to sign up. Any questions?
That's great, Stu. Thank you. We know where to find you if we do. All right. Any other announcements? I will say, I don't know, I have it on my calendar and I will be there, but off the top of my head, our president's party to honor Mr. Buie here. Does anyone know off the top of their head the date of that, just as a reminder?
July 29th.
July 29th. See, it's on my calendar, I promise, and I will be there, but July 29th, out at the Rotary Camp to honor Mr. Buie here. Any other announcements for the greater good? And if not, I'll jump into Happy Dollars, and we'll keep it a briefer Happy Dollars to make sure we give Steve plenty of time.
Quick.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
A couple, so, Happy Dollar, but, Akron Food Bank. We're doing a service project again, 3rd Wednesday of July, which will be July 20th. I only know that because that's also my anniversary, so I'll be serving meals or I guess doing the unpacking and then going to dinner with my wife. You're all welcome to join us. Think about that. If you reserve, it's 4:30 to 6:30. Then the second announcement is the Akron Dragon
Yes.
boats. And help me out here.
Yeah, well, it's July 23rd, and I upset Brian Casarco by announcing that I'm going to have a conflict personally, but we are trying to put a team together. Brian and I were the contacts for that, and it is a phenomenal event. Dragons on the Lake, Susan Coble Hall, I'm not sure if we've gotten her confirmation whether or not she'll be able to paddle with the team, but for those of you that have not done it, it is a phenomenal event out there at Rex Lake Drive, or not Rex Lake Drive, Portage Lake State Park. Beautiful day, hopefully, and just a fun camaraderie event for the club, some friendly competition, and we're still in need of, Brian, how many folks do we still need? Not counting myself now? 8 to 10, and men and women, so it doesn't have to be Rotarians. I know we have a list of folks that expressed interest, many that have already said they will do it. If you haven't done it, or if you've got family that would enjoy it, Doug, you know, we were thinking you and your son, perhaps, not to put you on the spot, Zach. I mean, it's a fun day. So again, that is July 23rd, and Dragons on the Lake, and the Dragon Boat Racing Festival. So beyond that, any other announcements, or that can be incorporated into Happy Dollars? Yep, Happy Dollars, let's jump right in. So
One more announcement.
One more announcement, Dave, go ahead.
Andrew reminded me, next week there is no meeting, so with the 4th of July
Right.
weekend, we're not having a meeting next Tuesday, so.
That's important.
Yes. So, all right, so who's that?
All right, yep, thank you, Dave.
Cheryl.
All the way over here.
Thank you. Well, for anyone who's never worn one of those boots for your ankle or anything, beware, because it causes other problems like plantar fasciitis.
Oh.
So, but I'm glad to be out of it. So that's one of my happy dollars. And of course, for Steve. Steve, thank you for a phenomenal year. Again, I don't know if I can be there on the 29th, but I will be thinking about you. And congratulations on a great year.
Thank you. Who else is happy?
All right, John Margito.
I got five happy dollars for Steve. What a great job he did. It was great helping you, what have you, if you needed me, and I mean, it's been, from Patrick to Dr. Rob to Steve, it's like going through the COVID thing. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's a lot to coordinate, a lot to get people through, and I mean, big ups for all you guys. But Steve, congratulations, okay? And by the way, I had a Rotarian event. I saw Stu at the Guardians game last night. So does that count?
That counts. Ooh, sorry, that counts. Shouting.
Thank you, John. Anybody else happy? Anybody online? I got a couple of happy dollars first. I got five happy dollars as well. First of all, again, Steve, congratulations on a great year. And secondly, again, the Akron Food Bank, July 20th, if you can volunteer, 4:30, 6:30. A plug for the Dragon Boat races. It's a blast. My wife and I love doing it. We're looking forward to it again this year. And I'm just happy for a great year. So, Steve, you wanted?
Yes, thank you, David. I have three happy dollars, and they are for my three guests. My precious wife of almost 38 years, Sharon, and then our youngest son, Andrew, that I can barely see around the corner. And then for my friend, Kittrell Chin, who you heard from earlier, and the work that he does with this orchestra and these children who have disabilities is something special. And you heard him speak about 3 or 4 months ago, and he shared about what they've been doing. And with being blessed with the opportunity of a presidential gift of $1,000, that is where my money is going, is to help these kids who have disabilities and have that orchestra. And it just keeps the thing going that we do so well here at the Akron Rotary Club, which is to love children. So that's it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Fantastic.
Last call. Anybody online? Do we see anybody?
Any other? I don't see anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll call it end to happy dollars, and of course, anyone else thinks of something, let us know at the end. But it is my great honor to welcome up our president for the last time as our club's president, Mr. Steve Buie, a man that has truly been a shepherd for our organization, as John Margita alluded to, in this time of transition for the club, continued time of transition. He's got a booming voice, but a gentle heart, and heart for service, heart for the Lord, and we've been honored to have you as president, Steve. So thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you, Connor. Appreciate all your work and all your help. It's been an interesting year. It's been a good year and a hard year. Many of you know that I've been battling with my elbow, and all the way since January, and it was driving me crazy. Couldn't get it figured out with the doctors until finally when I had a surgery scheduled to repair a torn tendon. They could see what they needed to see, that there was an infection in there. So I have been on the road to healing for the last 3 weeks, and it feels great because I can sleep at night. It used to drive me crazy. But the year has been a real learning year for me, a good year for me, and I have a lot of people I want to thank for making the year successful, and we've got a great team of men and women in our club. And one thing that the Akron Rotary Club is rich in is leadership. Leadership, leadership, leadership. And so if you take a look at the banner to my right, all of the district governors that have come out of Akron speaks for itself, but we have a plethora of incredible men and women. And I want to start by thanking Bill Mamby for recommending Bounce Innovation Hub when our time had actually come to an end at the Portage Country Club, and we were looking and trying to find a place where we could meet. With that, I want to thank Rose and Molly and Charlie for the work that they've done in helping us find a new home, at least for this season. And there's probably going to be more consideration coming as we look toward the future, but that will be for our next president and for our board in making decisions. But also I want to thank Mela. Mela, you and Amanda are extraordinary in the administrative work that you do, and you always do it with a smile and a heart of love, so thank you. And please give her our thanks as well. And a special group of people, we're going to call them the John Daly crew. And you've got Dr. Rob, Jack Herrick, Cindy King, and recently Sandy Narragon, who have been to John's place every week so that he, only I think a 64-year member of Akron Rotary, could continue on and participate in these meetings. And so thank you to all of you for the fine work that you've done. And there's a lady back there that needs a special thanks, and she's sitting between Julie Brandel and Mr. John Margita, and it is Katie Miller. Katie, please stand for a second. Katie, yes. Katie, over the last few years that John alluded to in talking about this transition of coming through COVID, has single-handedly handled all of the weekly meetings and who our presenters were going to be. And if you don't think that's a lot of work, then maybe you need to consider as we move forward, and we're going to go back to a team approach of having 3 or 4 people. But she's done an amazing job in all the work that she did in putting together these incredible programs. So thank you, Katie. You made my job way easier. Thank you. Some other folks to thank, Michael Gladys, and Michael Gladys handles the financials of the club and has been doing that for a number of years, but Michael does a phenomenal job year in and year out, so thank you, Michael. Brian Casarco. Brian is a mastermind when it comes to figuring out problems with our technology. And Cheryl called on him numerous times, and he came out every single time we could get him and did a great job of fixing the snafu. So thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. And he's not here in person, but he's online. He's been online faithfully throughout the year. And until you sit in a position like I've been privileged to sit in, you don't realize the amount of work that some people do. But Terry Dalton is an amazing man. And Terry, thank you for all that you do for this club. There's a couple other people who are in that amazing club. David Hall, where are you? Are you hiding? Or you're right there? No, you're not hiding. You're in the front row. But David Hall is like Hercules. And what I mean by that is that week in, week out, he is here and has been setting up all of the flags, the banners, the bell, everything that pertains to having a meeting, he's been here and he has done it. And I need to make this announcement because it's going to make some real sense to us as we step into our future. Connor is stepping into this position, but it's going to require a team. It's going to require a team, and maybe some of us saying, you know what, I'll help out for 6 weeks or something. But that's the way that we want to go forward, because frankly, David, I don't know how you did it, but a big hearty thank you, because you did a phenomenal job. And as far as doing what I do week in and week out, none of it could come together without the help of Cheryl Warren. And Cheryl is Miss Rotary, Mrs. Rotary, however you want to define her, but she is 110% behind this club. She was behind me and behind each of you. And Cheryl, you are a gem. You really are. So thank you for all that you've done for me. And you know what the best part is the friendship. So thank you. And one last hearty thank you is to my board. And here's what I want to say. You guys collectively are amazing. I mean, you really are amazing. And we had some pretty tough discussions that I'll talk about further as we go on. But we had some pretty tough discussions that we needed to have as a club this year. And I was impressed about how we, and I do mean we, collectively handled it. And that's impressive because Julie was talking in her invocation about these are tough times, and they are tough times. But to be able to deliberate over tough situations and for love to carry the day, that's a major victory. So thank you to my board. It's been a real privilege and an honor to serve with you, and I want to tell you, you taught me a lot. So thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about the time that I was privileged to serve as president of this club, and to kind of give a little bit of a review. But when we started out last July, we were still just simply meeting online, and it wasn't until like late September, early October, we were able to finally gather and meet in person. And so that transition that John Margita spoke of during Happy Dollars was actually very, very real. Patrick, God bless him, the last 4 months of his presidency was the blow-up of COVID and its full arrival. And then Dr. Rob, wow, you talk about a man perfectly chosen for such a time as this. It was Dr. Rob, because his entire year was totally virtual. But he is a chief medical officer at Akron Children's Hospital, and he really stewarded us as a group very, very wisely. And then, of course, the baton was passed to me, and then we began to see COVID kind of die down and opportunities to gather open up, and your board again deliberated on the pros and cons of this, and thus we made a decision and had a vote to come back together. But none of that was easy. And but that's how it started. And when I first had my meeting, it was online, and I talked about 3 goals that I had for my year of leading the club. And I talked about community development, being involved in that. We had done some work with the Well, which is a community development corporation, and oh, by the way, it just happens to be Doug Cole's son, Zach, who runs the Well, and we had done some projects with them. But we recognized as a club, and I recognized that we needed to continue to be involved in our communities here in Akron. And there are a couple of reasons. Akron needs us, but secondly, when you have the wealth And I'm talking about relational wealth and the connections that we have in the city and how we serve. It would be crazy. It would be absolutely absurd for us not to give away some of that richness. And so we carried that over into Kenmore and had a very successful year there. Part two was diversity and inclusion was something that was big on my heart, and I know it was big for the club as well. And that has become a reality, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well as Kenmore here in a minute. And then lastly, I wanted to see greater collaboration. And when I mean collaboration, I'm talking about the three wonderful legs of who Akron Rotary is: the club, the camp, and the foundation. And so the reality of our synergy, it rose even more so. It rose even more so. And I'll speak a little more to that as well. So back to community development and what we did in Kenmore. It started small, but it really did pick up a lot of momentum, and we were able to accomplish quite a bit over there. We did some cleanup days where we were going around the boulevard and some of the streets close by, and we were picking up a lot of garbage and bagging it and getting it out of there. And we were able to collaborate, which was really nice, with 100 black men. And that kind of kick-started our relationship with them, and you'll hear a little bit more about them in a minute. But we also, additionally, we were able to paint a number of storefronts on Kenmore Boulevard, which really lifted the beauty of what's going on over there. Tina Boyes, who joined our club, is she's in charge of the Community Development Corporation there in Kenmore, and she was exceptionally pleased to have your help, our help, as we were beginning to raise the water level of life in Kenmore. We were able to host a meeting at the Rialto, and that was such a lovely atmosphere where they conduct musical concerts for locals and people in the greater Akron area. And Tina was our guest speaker that day, and we were able to see what drives her passion for leading in Kenmore. But I don't want to forget this, because our own past president, Sandy Maribon, played a very, very big role in helping out Kenmore, and that the district grants that we got, the matching grant, was for money to help out with the first Fridays, and I think one's coming up this week in Kenmore. And that grant is paying for really nice musical groups coming in every first Friday. I think it goes all the way, like maybe up to October, right around in there.
Yes, I think the last one is a Halloween.
It is Halloween. Oh, cool. So we invested a lot into Kenmore, and there was a fusion of life that was given as well as received. On to diversity and inclusion. It was an interesting year for me in that I discovered that a good friend of mine from high school, who was an exceptional athlete, and you've met him because he shared here, Michael Irby, was the president of 100 Black Men. So he and I had coffee and breakfast on 3 different occasions, and I was able to find out that 100 Black Men is a national organization, and their focus throughout the country is on mentoring youth, mentoring Black youth. And boy, doesn't that really nicely coincide with who we are and all of the fine work that we continue to do out at Rotary Camp and other events. But, so we started a friendship. And I asked him one day, I said, I don't want to sound weird or whatever, but is there a possibility I could join your group? And he said, yeah. He said, we'd love to have you. So I became an official member of 100 Black Men about 6 weeks ago. And then Michael Irby, on the other hand, he joined and became a Rotarian. And I say that just simply to say this: we have a wide open door for greater collaboration and of meshing merging our worlds. And it's got real purpose. It's got real purpose. And so you're going to be seeing and hearing about extra opportunities, as it were, to be involved. Because mentoring and helping raise our young people really is crucial for the future of the city. With them, and I mentioned that they had been down at Kenmore and were involved in the cleanup. They also participated in the Be the Match program, which we did in April. And that was a blood marrow drive where we were having people sign up to be blood marrow donors so that we could help in the eradicating of blood cancers. And so that was actually a very, very good turnout. We did it at the University of Akron. We had our Rotary, the college group involved. We had 100 black men involved, and we had us involved. And we ended up reaching over 250 people. And we learned a lot as we look at doing this again next year, is that we want to be in the student center, because that's where everybody comes through, and that's where we had our greatest draw. So, yeah, just keep your eyes and ears open for the opportunities that are going to be coming our way, because the newest and greatest thing that 100 Black Men is wanting to do in conjunction with us is that they've got a Black Youth Success movement that they're rolling out to really take that mentoring and also to help out children and their families when it comes to connection in the community and helping the families, and in particular the kids, with a reading program inside of all that. So that's on the table. You're going to be hearing more about it as we come to learn what that's going to look like. Lastly, I want to talk about, lastly of those three items that I want to talk about is the greater synergy between the camp, the club, and the foundation. And that's been growing over probably a 2 to 3 year period of time, in that we all recognize here how amazing our camp is and the success that we've had in Akron and in Northeast Ohio of providing scholarships for kids to come out to camp and for them to be able also to provide some care for parents and families, which is much, much needed. And to the point that our last Chili Open was the greatest amount of money that we have ever raised as a club. And so I'm quite encouraged that the story just continues on down the line. And with that, though, we as a club and past presidents and many of you, we've had discussions, how do we take that incredible magic that we have, and how do we also begin to spread it into other areas where we have touches in the community? That generated a number of conversations with Mike Gallucci, who is the chairman of the board for the camp. We had Jim Redmond, who his tremendous involvement with the camp. We had Mella, we had Dan, we had Dr. Rob, we had myself, and we had some discussions also with Doug Cole, who is now heading up the foundation, and Jim had previously been heading up the foundation. And the goal was this: how do we expand, again, that magical touch that camp has to other areas here in the city? And it culminated in our first ever joint board meeting out at the camp about 5 weeks ago. And it was recommended by Karen Herlick from the board, and I don't know if she's online or not, but thank you, Karen, in that it was necessary. And I think it started us on a new track of just mutually respecting one another in greater measure, and how can we expand the magic. And if you take a look at it, our club is somewhat unique in comparison to, let's say, the average Rotary club. Because what happens with the Chili Open every year, I'm not aware of too many other places in the country that have something that could be comparable. And so that's to our credit. And so we're exploring ideas of how do we all continue to rise? How do we all continue to benefit? And the beauty is, we have all the pieces in this room, online, and those who can't join us today, because we are blessed to the moon with the leadership we have. And so we're going to figure things out, and we're going to expand collectively our reach within the community and throughout Northeast Ohio. With that, we continued on with the Ronald McDonald House, although it was taking food there instead of preparing food. But now I hear from them that we can consider going back with small groups, and I know some of you in the past have been there to help prepare a meal, and that actually is a little bit of fun. The fellowship that takes place and working in their newer building, and then really blessing families. That's huge. And thank you to David Hall and to Linda Farkas for starting up our involvement with the Akron Canton Food Bank. And there have been, I believe, 2 meetings up to this point. And now we'll be rolling out another one here in the not too distant future. And that's a tremendous amount of fun as well, but really needed, really necessary because of all the hungry men and women in the city. Thank you to Susan Colville Hall and for being there for the revitalization of the student youth exchange with some of our kids from Akron going overseas, and also with receiving overseas students and coming back to Akron. That too was affected quite significantly by COVID, but it's back. And so thank you for all of that. And you did hear me mention last week how exciting it was during the course of the year that Good Morning America came out to Portage Lakes, and they did about a 7-8 minute segment on the Dragon Boat team and the fight against cancer. And I was privileged to be able to be there that day, and it was wonderful. And so thank you for your involvement there. And the mention was made today about the Dragon Boats and so on and so forth. But I say all that to say this: listen to all of the different opportunities and all the different touches that we have as a club, and that's nothing short of amazing. And then we got a baseball game coming up from Mr. Stu here, helping put it together, a time of fellowship and such. It's incredible. Yet, one thing that we all have to keep in mind is that none of us can do it all. There's not a person in here that can be at every one of those single events and participate. That's just too much. But you know what? That's great. And then you can kind of pick and choose where you're going to put your toes in the water and what really, motivates you and pulls on your heart and where you want to serve. And again, back to the board, what I appreciate about the board is that if someone comes up with a new idea or a new vision, it's vetted in a proper manner, and that someone can bring that vision to us, yet we're not going to run their vision. Because if you come up with something that really is stirring in your heart to do, then by golly, you need to participate in that instead of wanting someone else to do it. And that's the way that we birth new opportunities, new service projects and such, is that one of us carries the ball. So, in looking at this next year, and with Linda stepping here in as president of the club on July the 12th, it's going to be a new day, it's going to be a new way. But again, what is so cool about all of this is, if you take a look at the Akron Rotary Club, we have a 106-year history. And it's not any one individual's story. It's the story of all of us. And she'll be carrying the baton for this next year. And it's going to be a fun time. She's got some great ideas, and you're going to be hearing from her when she steps in about some of those ideas, and even as it pertains to how we meet, when we meet, so on and so forth, and more involvement both internationally and in the district and such. And so I just encourage us all to join her and support her. But if I was in leaving to share with us, I would share 3 words of encouragement. And again, back to Julie's prayer. It's not about right or wrong. It's simply not about right or wrong. And there are a number of things that have been going on in our world and in our country over the last few years. And in particular, as we talked about COVID. And we have those who did get vaccinated, and we've got others who didn't get vaccinated. And there's been a lot of shooting at one another across the aisle, as it were. And it's not about my right being more than your right, but it's about pressing through to something that's higher and better. And secondly, too, when you take a look at that, just think about the most recent election, the battle between the Republicans and the Democrats. And it's not that one is more right than the other. Both have a lot to bring to the table. It's how do we resolve it? How do we work it out? And then most recently, even in this last week, with the Roe versus Wade ruling on how that's playing out. And here's what I would simply say to all of us, because everybody in this room has their views on each of those components that I just mentioned: COVID, politics, Roe versus Wade. And there are going to be more things coming our way that are going to require us working through them. But the bottom line is the mutual respect, is working through to a place of love. And we might disagree with our neighbor, but we have to be able to hold that intention and not think less of someone else because maybe they don't see it the way I see it. And so let's let love carry the day. As we have historically done, let's let love carry the day for us as we go into the future. And lastly, it really is all about relationships. It's all about relationships. How do we prefer one another? And here's what I want you to think about, because I do have a little bit of a thought on the success of the Chili Open this last year. It was the first Chili Open from coming out of the fullness of what was experienced with COVID, because the previous year you couldn't gather. And there was a little bit of a snag whether you were going to be able to gather this year, but the decision was made, yes, we are going to gather and we're going to take the necessary precautions. And lo and behold, a record amount of money came in. So my thoughts are this: because we collectively have been working on preferring one another and honoring one another and not being afraid to have the difficult discussions, that was honored by what happened and what took place throughout the community. Because not only it's not about who's right or wrong, it's not even about the money. It is not about the money. The money will come when we do what we need to do and we continue sowing love that we know exceptionally well how to do and how to work through our differences. The money will come. And so I'm encouraged about this next year. I told Linda this morning when I was visiting with her just for a second back there, I said, Linda, I know you have a difficult job for this next year. I'm blessed to have a wife who's been been there to stand with me and support me and encourage me, and with my son as well, both of my sons. And what a rich blessing. Now, Linda lost her precious husband about 7 years ago? 6. It is 7, okay, so I was right. I wasn't counting from. But 7 years ago, and for those of you who've been here for a while and got to know Dick Farkas, what an amazing individual, and you could underscore that 3 or 4 times. And he actually died right when he would have been stepping in as our district governor. And so now the baton goes to you, Miss Linda. And we as a club will collectively stand with you, support you, help you, and be there for you, because we recognize, and this is the beauty of it, it's not about any one of us. It is about us, but it's about all of us too. And so it's not either or, but it's both and. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for the support that you've been to me, and thank you for this wonderful experience. And just want to say God bless you, and look forward to what lies ahead.
One last duty, Steve.
Thank you. So there you go. We have, the ticket is 228348.
348.
Doug Cole.
All right.
All right, Doug, win the pot, win the pot.
I think that's exactly right.
That is it. There you go. Looking for the Joker. 10 hearts. 10 hearts. You get to keep that. That's your prize. All right, I think that is it, Steve.
Yeah, I don't have anything unless anybody has a question or, all right.
No more announcements? Other than, oh, wait a minute, couple more.
Miss Julie,
Coming.
and then Susan.
Just remember, there's no meeting next week.
Well, there is not a meeting next week. We do have our banner exchange where we will exchange the banner of our current district governor, Larry Lohman, from the Kent Club to our new district governor to be, which will be David Jones from the Cuyahoga Valley Northampton Club. So if you're in the Cuyahoga Falls area next Wednesday, I believe is July 6th, they'll have it at the Riverfront Pavilion there. They'll have food and beverages and a great time to meet some people around the district. So, and it'll be a preparation for next year when it will be my turn to have a banner exchange, which we'll do at Rotary Camp. So I just want to put that in your head for next week. Since we won't have this meeting, maybe you want to come there. So thanks.
Super. Susan.
So I just wanted to say that we're going to have a meeting of the Rotary Youth Exchange Committee right afterwards, but I also want to take this opportunity to say kudos to our president for all that he and our club was able to accomplish this year under the leadership.
Thank you.
And hats off to service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? Final announcements. Last time, Steve, bring that back.
All right, here we go. Have a great week, people.